I showed up to my son's lavish wedding anniversary only to hear, "Go back. You are not wanted here." Then my daughter-in-law called security and said, "Throw this useless woman out. She is a nobody." So I left quietly and made 3 phone calls. What happened next changed everything. I will tell you the whole story. First, let me thank all of you beautiful souls for watching Granny's Voice. Your love keeps me going every single day. If you enjoy these stories from the heart, please hit that subscribe button. It would mean the world to me. Leave a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I love hearing from my family around the globe. Today's special shout out goes to Sarah Miller from Chicago. Thank you for your kind words, dear. Now let me share what happened that terrible night. I never liked going places where I wasn't invited. Not birthday parties, not church dinners, not even family picnics. But this was different. My son David was celebrating 5 years of marriage. 5 whole years. And even though we hadn't talked much lately, I still believed I belonged there. Maybe not at the head table, maybe not giving speeches, but somewhere in that room. Put on my best dress. The blue one David used to say made me look like a queen. I stopped at the flower shop and bought yellow roses. His wife Emma used to love yellow roses when they first met. I thought maybe they still meant something to her. The party was at some fancy hotel downtown. The kind with marble floors and crystal lights hanging from the ceiling. Everything was gold and white and sparkly. It looked like a fairy tale, but not the kind I grew up reading. I walked through those big glass doors and felt eyes staring at me. People in expensive clothes were holding champagne glasses and talking in whispers. Nobody smiled at me. A few looked my way and then looked away fast, like I had done something wrong. I found the welcome table and looked for David's name. There it was. David and Emma Thompson, 5 years of pure bliss. Next to it was a huge picture of them on their wedding day. Emma looked happy, but something about her smile seemed fake. Maybe I was just being mean because I was nervous. I took the elevator to the party room. My hands were shaking. The doors opened and I saw hundreds of people dancing and laughing. A man was playing piano in the corner. Waiters walked around with fancy food I couldn't even pronounce. Then I saw him. My David. My baby boy who used to climb into my bed during thunderstorms. He was 35 years old now, wearing a black suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent. He was talking to some woman with diamond earrings, laughing at something she said. Emma was right next to him. She saw me first. She nudged David with her elbow. He turned around. Our eyes met across that crowded room. For just a second I thought I saw my little boy again. The one who used to make me breakfast on Mother's Day. But then his face changed. Got hard and cold. Emma whispered something in his ear. Then she walked straight toward me. Her high heels clicked on the floor like a clock ticking. "Go back," she said. Her voice was loud enough for people around us to hear. "You are not wanted here." The music seemed to stop. People turned to stare. I felt like a little girl being scolded in front of the whole class. My heart was beating so loud I thought everyone could hear it. David walked over and stood next to his wife. He didn't look at me. He looked at the security guard by the door. "Security!" Emma called out, waving her hand like she was calling a taxi. "Throw this useless woman out. She is a nobody." The security guard looked uncomfortable. He was a young man, maybe David's age. He walked over slowly, like he didn't want to do it. "Ma'am," he said quietly, "I'm sorry, but you need to leave." I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I didn't make a scene. I just nodded and handed him my yellow roses. He looked sad when he took them. I walked to the elevator with that security guard beside me. As the doors closed, I saw Emma putting her arm around David. They were already talking to other people like nothing had happened. Like I was just some crazy lady who wandered in from the street. I got in my old car and sat there for a long time. The parking lot was full of fancy cars, BMWs and Mercedes, and cars I didn't even recognize. Mine looked like it didn't belong there either. I thought about all the years I worked 2 jobs to pay for David's college. I remembered sitting up all night when he had the flu. I thought about teaching him to ride his bike, to tie his shoes, to be kind to people. Where did that little boy go? When did he learn to be so cruel? I drove home on autopilot. My little house felt so quiet and empty. I didn't even turn on the lights. I just sat in my kitchen and stared at the phone. Then I picked it up and made the first call. Hello, Mr. Patterson. This is Margaret Thompson. I need to change my will. Remove David completely. Yes, I'm sure. I've never been more sure of anything. My lawyer had been handling my papers for 20 years. He knew better than to ask too many questions when I used that tone of voice. I'll have the new papers ready tomorrow morning, he said. The second call was to my bank. This is Margaret Thompson. I need to close the college fund I set up for my future grandchildren. Yes, close it completely. Transfer everything to my personal account. That fund had $50,000 in it. Money I saved by buying store-brand groceries and fixing my own car. Money I put away hoping David would have children someday. And those children would go to college. The third call was the hardest one. Thompson Construction, this is Jake. Jake, it's Margaret. I need to sell the business. There was a long pause. Jake had been my business partner for 15 years. We built that construction company from nothing after my husband died. Are you sure, Maggie? David always said he might want to take it over someday. David made his choice, I said. Now I'm making mine. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about all the times I forgave David for hurting my feelings. All the times he canceled dinner plans. All the times he chose Emma's family over mine for holidays. I kept telling myself it was just a phase, that he would grow up and remember how much I loved him. But that night at the party I finally understood. He wasn't going through a phase. This was who he had become. The next morning I got dressed and drove to my lawyer's office. Mr. Patterson had all the papers ready. I signed my name on every line. With each signature, I felt a little piece of my heart break off. But I also felt something else. Relief. Like I was finally putting down a heavy bag I'd been carrying for years. Around noon my phone rang. It was David. Mom, what did you do? His voice was angry and loud. Emma just got a call from the country club. They said you're not paying for our membership anymore. I had forgotten about that. For 3 years I paid their country club dues. It was $2,000 a year, but I wanted them to be happy. That's right, I said calmly. I'm not paying for it anymore. Why would you do that? We had a deal. No, David. You had a deal. I had a dream that my son still loved his mother. But dreams don't always come true. He was quiet for a moment. Then Emma got on the phone. Margaret, you're being ridiculous. David was just having a bad day yesterday. You can't punish us forever because of one little fight. One little fight. I laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. Emma, you called me a nobody. You had me thrown out of your party like I was trash. That wasn't a fight. That was cruelty. You're overreacting, she said. Just apologize and we can move on. Apologize? For what? For loving my son. For wanting to celebrate with my family. For bringing flowers to wish you both well. There was silence on the other end of the phone. I raised that boy from nothing, I continued. I worked my fingers to the bone to give him everything he needed. And you turned him into someone I don't even recognize. Mom, please. David got back on the phone. Let's just forget about last night. Come over for dinner this weekend. We'll talk. No, David. I'm done talking. I'm done hoping things will get better. I'm done being treated like I'm something you're ashamed of. You're still my mother, he said quietly. And you're still my son. But that doesn't mean I have to let you hurt me anymore. I hung up the phone and unplugged it from the wall. For the first time in years I felt peace. That afternoon I went for a walk in the park. There was an old woman there feeding ducks with her granddaughter. The little girl was maybe 6 years old, with pigtails and a big smile. Grandma, why do the ducks like bread so much? The little girl asked. Because it makes them happy, sweetheart. Just like spending time with you makes me happy. The little girl hugged her grandmother tight. I love you, Grandma. You're the best grandma in the whole world. I watched them for a while, remembering when David used to say things like that to me. Before he learned that loving your mother wasn't cool anymore. I walked over to them and smiled. What beautiful ducks, I said. Would you like some bread? The grandmother asked. We have plenty. I spent the next hour feeding ducks with strangers who were kinder to me than my own son had been. When I got home, there were 5 messages on my answering machine. All from David and Emma. The messages started angry and got more desperate as they went on. Mom, call me back right now. Margaret, we need to talk about this situation. Mom, Emma's sorry. She didn't mean what she said. Please don't do this. We can work it out. Mom, I love you. Please call me back. I deleted all of them without calling back. Love isn't just a word you say when you need something. Love is how you treat people when nobody's watching. 2 days later, my neighbor Mrs. Chen knocked on my door. She was holding a casserole dish and looked worried. Margaret, I heard what happened at the party. I'm so sorry, dear. How did you hear about that? Yes. Emma posted about it on Facebook. She said you crashed their party and caused a scene. But I know you better than that. She handed me the casserole. I made your favorite. Chicken and rice with those little peas you like. Mrs. Chen had been my neighbor for 10 years. She knew I would never crash a party or cause a scene. She knew the real me, not the version Emma was telling people about. Thank you, I said, and I meant it. Would you like to come in for coffee? We sat at my kitchen table and talked for 2 hours. She told me about her own family problems. How her daughter moved across the country and never called. Sometimes the people we love the most hurt us the worst, she said. Because they know exactly where to aim. The next week I got a letter in the mail. It was from David, handwritten on fancy paper. Dear Mom, it started. I know you're angry and I don't blame you. Emma and I both acted badly at the party. We're sorry. Please give us another chance. I miss you. At the bottom, Emma had written a note too. I'm sorry for what I said. Came out wrong. I hope we can be friends again. I read that letter 3 times. Then I put it in the drawer with all the other letters from David over the years. Birthday cards where he forgot to write anything personal. Christmas notes where he just signed his name. I didn't write back. Not because I was trying to hurt him, but because I finally understood something important. Sorry doesn't fix everything. Some wounds are too deep for band-aids. A month later, Jake called me about selling the business. I found a buyer, he said. They're offering a good price. But Maggie, are you sure about this? This company is your legacy. No, Jake. My legacy was supposed to be my son. The company is just wood and nails and machines. My real legacy was teaching David to be a good man. And I failed at that. You didn't fail, Jake said gently. You gave him every tool he needed. It's not your fault he chose not to use them. The business sold 2 weeks later. With that money and my other savings, I had enough to live comfortably for the rest of my life. I didn't need David's help. I didn't need anyone's help. I started volunteering at the animal shelter on weekends. Those dogs and cats didn't care how much money I had or what my family problems were. They just wanted love and attention. They were grateful for every kind word and gentle touch. One Saturday, a little girl came in with her parents to adopt a puppy. She reminded me of myself at that age. Shy but hopeful, looking for something to love. That one. She pointed to a small black puppy in the corner. He looks sad. I want to make him happy. I helped them with the adoption papers. As they were leaving, the little girl turned back to me. Thank you for helping us find our dog, she said. You're really nice. It was such a simple thing to say, but it meant more to me than all of David's expensive gifts over the years. This child had known me for 1 hour and saw more good in me than my own son did. 3 months after the anniversary party, David showed up at my house. I was in my garden, planting tomatoes. I heard his car in the driveway but didn't look up. Mom, he said quietly. We need to talk. Kept planting. About what? About us. About what happened. About fixing this. I finally looked at him. He looked tired and older somehow. His fancy clothes were wrinkled, and he needed a haircut. "How's Emma?" asked. We're having some problems. She thinks I should have stood up for her that night. Told you that you were wrong for coming to our party. I planted another tomato seedling. And what do you think? I think. He paused, looking at his shoes. I think I forgot how to be your son. Yes, I said simply. You did. He sat down on my porch steps. I don't know how to fix this, Mom. I don't know how to go back. You can't go back, David. You can only go forward. And going forward means deciding who you want to be. We sat in silence for a while. I kept working in my garden while he watched. Finally he spoke again. Emma left me, he said quietly. She said I was weak for coming here. Said if I chose you over her, she was done. I stopped planting and looked at him. My heart wanted to feel sorry for him, but my brain remembered how he had treated me. I'm sorry to hear that, I said. And I was sorry. Not because I liked Emma, but because divorce is hard and painful and I never wanted my son to hurt. She took half of everything, he continued. The house, the cars, even the furniture. I'm living in an apartment now. That must be difficult, I said. He looked surprised. Maybe he expected me to say I told you so. Or maybe he expected me to invite him to move back home. Mom, I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But you're the only family I have left. No, David. I'm not your family. I'm just the woman who raised you. Family is people who show up for each other. People who defend each other. People who treat each other with respect and love. He started crying then. Not the fake tears children use when they want something, but real tears. The kind that come from deep inside when you realize you've lost something precious. I want to be better, he whispered. I want to be the son you deserve. I put down my gardening tools and sat next to him on the steps. David, I spent 35 years trying to teach you how to be a good man. I can't do it anymore. You have to decide for yourself what kind of person you want to be. Will you help me? He asked. I'll always love you, I said. But I won't let you hurt me anymore. If you want to be part of my life, you have to earn it. He nodded and wiped his eyes. What do I need to do? First, you need to figure out why you thought it was okay to humiliate your mother in front of strangers. Second, you need to understand that saying sorry isn't enough. You have to show me you've changed. How long will that take? However long it takes, I said. Maybe months, maybe years, maybe never. That depends on you. He stood up and walked toward his car. At the driveway, he turned back. I do love you, Mom, even if I'm bad at showing it. I know you do, sweetheart. But love without kindness is just an empty word. After he left, I went back to my garden. Mrs. Chen came over with a glass of lemonade. How did it go? She asked. Like watching someone try to put together a puzzle with half the pieces missing, I said. She laughed. Maybe he'll find the missing pieces. Maybe. Or maybe he'll learn to live with an incomplete picture. Either way, it's not my job to fix him anymore. That night, I made myself a nice dinner and ate it on the porch. The tomato plants I had planted were already starting to grow. In a few months, they would have beautiful red tomatoes. But only if I watered them, gave them sunshine, and took care of them. People are like plants, I thought. They need love and attention to grow. But they also need good soil, good values, good examples, good boundaries. I had given David all the love in the world. But somewhere along the way, I forgot to give him boundaries. I let him treat me badly because I was afraid of losing him. And in trying not to lose him, I lost myself. 6 months later, David started coming by every Sunday. Not to ask for money or complain about his problems, but just to visit. He would help me in the garden or fix small things around the house. We didn't talk about the past much. Instead, we focused on the present. He told me about his new job, a smaller company where he was learning to be humble. I told him about my volunteer work and my new friends at the senior center. Slowly, carefully, we started building something new. Not the relationship we used to have, but something different. Something based on mutual respect instead of obligation. One Sunday he brought me flowers. Not expensive roses from a fancy shop, but wildflowers he picked himself from a field near his apartment. "I remember you used to love these when I was little," he said. I did remember. When he was 6 years old, he would pick dandelions and give them to me like they were precious jewels. I would put them in a glass of water and tell him they were the most beautiful flowers in the world. "They're perfect," I said, and meant it. That's when I knew he was really trying to change. Not just saying the right words, but remembering who he used to be before life made him forget. It took 2 years, but David slowly became someone I could trust again. Not the little boy I used to know, but a grown man who had learned from his mistakes. He never remarried, and he never had children. Sometimes I wonder if he would have been a good father. But then I remember that being a good parent isn't about being perfect. It's about loving someone enough to teach them right from wrong, even when it's hard. I learned something important during those dark months after the anniversary party. You can't control how other people treat you, but you can control how you respond. You can choose to keep your dignity, even when others try to take it away. Standing up for yourself isn't mean or selfish. It's necessary, because if you don't value yourself, why should anyone else? Now I'm 80 years old, and I live alone in my little house with my garden and my memories. David visits every week, and we have a good relationship. Not perfect, but honest and real. Mrs. Chen is still my neighbor and my dear friend. We have coffee every Tuesday and share stories about our families and our dreams. I still volunteer at the animal shelter, and those sweet animals still love me unconditionally. They've taught me that love doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes it's just sitting quietly together, enjoying each other's company. The business I sold, it's doing well under new ownership. Jake retired and bought a fishing boat. He sends me pictures of the fish he catches, and they always make me smile. I kept most of my money, but I did something special with part of it. I started a scholarship fund for kids whose parents are working 2 jobs to make ends meet. Kids like David used to be, before he forgot where he came from. Every year I get letters from those kids telling me about their dreams and their plans for the future. They remind me why I worked so hard all those years. Not for fancy parties or expensive clothes, but to give the next generation a chance to do better. Sometimes people ask me if I regret cutting David out of my will that night. They want to know if I was too harsh, too unforgiving. I tell them the truth. I regret that it took so long for me to stand up for myself. I regret letting him treat me badly for years before I finally said enough. But I don't regret choosing my own peace and dignity over his comfort. I don't regret showing him that actions have consequences. And I don't regret teaching him, even late in life, that love and respect go hand in hand. Today, my relationship with David is better than it's been in years. Not because I gave in to his bad behavior, but because I refused to accept it. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone you love is to stop making their mistakes easy. If this story touched your heart, if you've ever had to choose between family peace and self-respect, then share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever had to walk away from family to save yourself? Have you ever been called mean for simply setting boundaries? Your stories matter to me. We're all just trying to figure out this thing called life. And sometimes sharing our struggles helps others feel less alone. Don't forget to subscribe to Granny's Voice for more real stories about real life. Until next time, remember, you deserve to be treated with kindness, even by the people you love most. Especially by them. Take care of yourselves, my dear ones. You're worth it.